Can a change in the rules save the Ferrari season? Is the Catalonia circuit really the turning point that Leclerc and Hamilton need so much to return to the front? Today we discover it with data, context, and an analysis that goes far beyond the headlines. Charles Leclerc has been, as usual, the emergency firefighter. He has rescued results that the car did not deserve, and did so with surgical driving in Monaco, where he got a second place that momentarily made up the crisis. But even he has suffered with the erratic behavior of the car in long batches, especially when the fuel load and the crosswind alter the already fragile balance of the SF-25. Monegasco has had to adapt its style, opting for a more aggressive curve input to counteract the subwiring, although that has resulted in an overload in the front brakes. And behind all this there is an even deeper problem: team management. Despite Frédéric Vasseur's attempts to stabilize the technical structure, engineers are still trapped in a slow and not bold decision-making culture. The fear of repeating errors from the past has paralyzed innovation, and that has had a devastating effect on the development of the car during the first third of the season. Instead of advancing with conviction towards a clear concept, Ferrari has preferred a warm evolution of the SF-24, which already showed structural limitations. This is the context with which Ferrari reaches the GP of Spain. Barcelona represents much more than one more career in the calendar for Ferrari. It is, in essence, a crucial opportunity for redemption. The Catalonia circuit is one of the most complete paths of the championship, known for its ability to evaluate all aspects of the performance of a car: aerodynamic efficiency, tensile and slow curve, high-speed stability, tire management, and adaptation capacity to the career passage. Therefore, historically, he has been considered the best technical thermometer of Formula One. If a car is going well here, it can go well in almost anywhere. And Ferrari knows it. That is why he has opted so much on this date. In the prior to the Spanish Grand Prix, Maranello announced a series of updates that are not simply incremental improvements, but part of a more ambitious technical reconfiguration. The main change is a new front wing designed under the recent restrictions imposed by FIA on the flexibility of aerodynamic elements. This modification, which affects the entire airflow to the barge boards and the floor of the car, has been thought to stabilize the behavior of the front axle during the curve entrance. This not only improves the precision of the car in technical paths such as Sector 1 in Montmello, but also reduces asymmetric wear of the front tires, a chronic weakness of the SF-25 from its debut. But the most revealing thing is that Ferrari has chosen not to copy McLaren or Red Bull, but for reinforcing his base concept with a more coherent internal logic. The new package also includes a rear wing redesign with greater aerodynamic load, something essential in a circuit where medium-speed curves dominate the return. This new spoiler seeks to maximize performance in Curve 3 and Sequence 13 to 14, two areas where the Italian car used to waste time compared to its direct rivals. It is an attempt to convert the SF-25 into a more balanced and less reactive car against wind or temperature changes on the track. In addition, the broader technical context must be considered. The new rules of the FIA for the GP of Spain on the flexibility of the wings are destined to limit aerodynamic solutions of the equipment that have stretched the regulation to the maximum, such as McLaren and Red Bull. Ferrari, who has followed a more conservative interpretation from the initial design, could benefit directly from this standardization. In other words, the regulation for the first time in the season could play in favor of Maranello, reducing the technical advantage that other teams had exploited so far. Internally, the data collected in simulations and the analysis in the wind tunnel have been more encouraging than usual. The technical department estimates an improvement between 0.12 and 0.15 seconds per return with respect to the previous configuration, a small but significant figure if it is considered that Barcelona is a circuit that punishes any structural deficiency. If this improvement translates into the track, Ferrari could cut more than half of the disadvantage he kept in front of McLaren in classification. There is also the psychological factor. The team has repeatedly indicated that this race will mark a new start in the season, a phrase that may sound empty, but that contains an important strategic turn. For the first time, Ferrari is willing to take technical risks and change fundamental components during the season. Until now, philosophy had been progressive adjustments. In Spain, they bet on a transformation that redefines the balance of the car. Leclerc and Hamilton also arrive in Montmello with different but complementary approaches. Charles has been the most effective in extracting performance under pressure, and if the car behaves more neutrally at the curve entrance, it could recover that surgical precision that made it a lethal pilot in 2022 and 2023. Hamilton, meanwhile, has requested a car that transmits confidence in the rear axle to attack without compromising the traction. If the new package manages to stabilize the rear of the SF-25, the British could unlock a part of his performance that we have not seen since his passage through Mercedes in his best days. The expectation is not only to achieve points, but to prove that Ferrari has finally understood how to evolve its concept in real time, a skill that has been absent in its last campaigns. Barcelona, with its demanding layout and its high level of technical demand, will not make concessions. But it also offers a clear reward. If the SF-25 is competitive here, the team can build a recovery narrative that could sustain them during the European stretch of the championship. In this sense, the GP of Spain is more than a technical test. It is a character test. And for Ferrari, it could be the last opportunity to demonstrate that they still know how to fight at the top of world motoring. The expectations that Ferrari loads on his shoulders for the Spanish Grand Prix are not those of a team that simply seeks a good performance, but those of an entire organization that needs to validate its own redemption narrative. And that pressure level is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, if the new aerodynamic package works as expected, Barcelona could mark the beginning of a second half of the most competitive season. On the other, if the improvements fail, the internal consequences could be serious, both for the pilots and for the technical structure that has bet their credibility on this key date. The risks are multiple. The first is the most obvious: competition does not stop. McLaren arrives in Barcelona leading with authority, with an MCL39 that has demonstrated not only pure speed but also an extraordinary technical capacity to adapt to changing conditions. Strategic management has been surgical and its constant development rhythm. Although Ferrari has cut distance in terms of aerodynamic load, there is still a clear gap in terms of consistency in long batches. In Maranello, where asphalt temperatures usually exceed 40 degrees, the thermal management of the tires will be key. And that is where Ferrari has not yet demonstrated a reliable solution. Red Bull, despite recent changes in their alignment and internal problems that have shaken their campaign start, remains a formidable rival. The incorporation of Yuki Tsunoda instead of Liam Lawson has revitalized the dynamics of the team, and Max Verstappen remains a perennial threat. Although RB21 has shown instability in slow curves, in medium flow paths such as Barcelona, the power in line and the efficiency in changes of direction could neutralize part of the progress that Ferrari hopes to have achieved. Mercedes, meanwhile, has emerged as an unexpected contender. The growth of George Russell and the surprising consistency of the debutant Kimi Antonelli have given the German team a second air. In a circuit that rewards traction and aerodynamic efficiency, the W15 could sneak into the fight for the first three positions if Ferrari does not execute a perfect weekend. And that is precisely the second great risk: execution. Ferrari has been historically victim of herself in this section. The management of the race, the decisions in boxes, the real-time reading of the evolution of the track, and the ability to react to changes in the rival strategy have failed in the most critical moments. In a circuit where the undercuts are powerful and the optimal window for tire change is narrow, any calculation error can destroy a whole weekend. And unlike other circuits, in Barcelona there is no room to hide errors. Everything is visible, everything is measurable, everything is punished. A third risk has to do with internal dynamics between pilots. Although Leclerc and Hamilton have maintained a professional relationship, the tension is inevitable when both seek to affirm themselves as the technical and sports reference of the team. If the car's performance improves, but one of them feels favored in the strategy or in the base configurations, an underground conflict that damages internal morals could be initiated. This type of friction, if they are not controlled, have a dangerous history in Ferrari. It is enough to remember the tensions between Vettel and Leclerc in 2019 or between Alonso and Massa in previous years. The last great risk is symbolic, but not least. If Ferrari fails in Barcelona, he will fail before his most critical and informed audience. Maranello is Ferrari territory in terms of the presence of tifosi and media exhibition. A bad result will not only be a technical blow, but an emotional failure that could erode the confidence of the environment. And when the media narrative turns against, the pressure multiplies and the hurried decisions begin to leak in technical decision-making. Said all this, the GP of Spain is a critical intersection for the Ferrari season. If they manage to classify among the top 5 with both cars, and maintain competitive career rhythm, they could consolidate a recovery that allows them to look optimism at the rest of the European calendar. If they achieve a podium, especially with Hamilton showing strength, it will be a clear message that this project still has life. But if they repeat the mistakes of the past, if the improvements do not translate into results, Barcelona could be remembered as the point where Ferrari, once again, promised a lot and delivered little. Now that you have in your hands all the elements of the puzzle, the big question is still open: Are we really facing the beginning of a new era for Ferrari, or simply before another technical and narrative mirage like so many others in recent years? This doubt is not answered with isolated figures or institutional promises, but with forceful facts about the asphalt. And that is where you, as an informed spectator and passionate about Formula One, play an essential role. Do you think this new aerodynamic package will mark a before and after in the Ferrari season? Do you see in Lewis Hamilton a figure capable of leading a real transformation within the Maranello team? Or do you consider that, despite the improvements, the Scuderia is still tied to a technical and strategic philosophy that condemns it to stagnation? If you value this type of content, and if you are not yet signed, now it is the perfect moment.